Srimad is Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Shri Guru Parampara Ki Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Shri Bhadranath Shri Pakapalabhata Dasa Arunath Ki Ananta Kotari Vaishnavina Ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Premsiko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Ji Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavana Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Girikavadan Ki Shri Vrindavanam Ki Shri Navadvip Maya Bhutam Ki Ganga Maya Munimaya Ki Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Shri Janmastami Ki Shri Radhika Giridhari Ki Shri Lakshmi Pralat Nrsimhadev Ki Shri Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chana Balava Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Chana Balava Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Yamunatira Vanachari Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Nitai Gaura Premanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So, Hare Krishna, liebe devotees, my dear devotees, I will speak in English. And yes, so today is, of course, the very auspicious day of Krishna's appearance, Janmastami. And I will read from the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, verse it is written on the board. I will not read the whole purport because it's very long. I'll just read the first paragraph, and then I will talk on the topic of today. Was war eigentlich? Ach so, nee, ich hab hier. Okay. Iti chang sakala pungsa Iti chang sakala pungsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Svayam Krishnastu Bhagavan Svayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. Okay, please. Iti chang shakala pungsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Svayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. Iti chang sakala pungsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Svayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. Iti chang sakala pungsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Svayam. Indrari Vyakulam Lokam. Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. Matajis? Iti Changsa Kala Pungsa. Krishnastu Bhagavan Svayam. Indrari Vyakulam Lokam. Mridayanti Yogi Yogi. Ete. All these. Cha. And. Angsha. Plenary portions. Kala. Portions of the plenary portions. Pungsa. Of the Supreme. Krishna. Lord Krishna. Two. But Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Svayam, in person. Indra Ari, the enemies of Indra. Vyakulam, disturbed. Lokam, all the planets. Mridayanti, gives protection. Yuge Yuge, in different ages. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. All of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists. Purport. In this particular stanza, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is distinguished from other incarnations. He is counted amongst the avatars because out of his causeless mercy, the Lord descends from his transcendental abode. Avatar means one who descends. All the incarnations of the Lord, including the Lord himself, descend to the different planets of the material world, as also in different species of life, to fulfill particular missions. Sometimes he comes himself, and sometimes his different plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions or his differentiated portions, directly or indirectly empowered by him, descend to this material world to execute certain specific functions. Originally, the Lord is full of all opulences, all prowess, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. When they are partly manifested through the plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions, it should be noted that certain manifestations of his different powers are required for those particular functions. When in the room small electric bulbs are displayed, it doesn't mean that the electric powerhouse is limited by the small bulbs. The same powerhouse can supply power to operate large-scale industrial dynamos with greater volts. Similarly, the incarnations of the Lord display limited powers because so much power is needed at that particular time. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshomilitamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangung Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamahang Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svavadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Hare Krishna, please bless me that I can say something for the upliftment and inspiration of all the devotees on this very auspicious day. So, this verse we heard now is a very famous verse from Srimad Bhagavatam in regards to Krishna. It's a verse which is spoken after a long series of verses which explain the avatars. Avatar, as Prabhupada also mentioned in this purport, means one who descends. So Krishna, or a different form of Krishna, descends to the material world, and this is called avatar, one who comes down. And there are many, many avatars. There are unlimited forms of Krishna, actually. And throughout the ages, they appear in this world and display their powers and manifest their pastimes. But it's said in this verse that all these avatars are actually all expansions of Krishna, that he's the supreme avatar. He's the avatari. All the avatars come from him, and there's none higher than Krishna. And this verse is in this regard very important, especially for Krishna Bhaktas, because it says that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is Shastric evidence. We accept Shastra as supreme pramana. Praman means evidence. Whenever we want to know something, we search for some proof, for some indication, for some knowledge. And there are different ways how to get knowledge. But it said the supreme proof, which stands above all other proofs, is Shastra. Now, when the Shastra says something, this is how it is. And the devotee and the bhakta, he accepts Shastra like that. Actually, Shastra is axiomatic. It doesn't need proof. We don't have to research. You can research and you might find indications for its truth, but actually it's not necessary. The only thing is required that we accept. So in that sense, this verse is very important. It is also said by Jiva Goswami that this verse is the Paribhasa Sutra of the whole Bhagavatam. And this is the motto of the whole Bhagavatam. The whole Srimad Bhagavatam, which consists of thousands of verses, it's a very big book, is all an expansion, it can all refer back to this verse. Everything has to be seen in the light of this verse, Paribhasa Sutra. This is very, very important shloka of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it says, as I said, Ete Changsa Kalapungsa, that all these forms which were explained are angsas and kalaha of Krishna. Expansions, parts and expansions of Krishna. Diparchir eva hi dashantaram apyupetya dipayate vivrita hetu samana dharma. It said Krishna expands like a candle which is lit by another candle. You take a candle and you light it by another candle. So you have two candles. So the second candle is like expansion of the first candle. It's expansion. It comes from the first candle. And then you can light another candle, another candle, another candle. So many candles, which are expansions actually of the first candle. And they are very similar in shape, in size, in form, in power. So Krishna can expand himself in many, many other forms, and they can have different powers actually. He's the supreme power, and he can kind of manifest just a form which has like only 50% of his power, or 80%, or 20%. As Prabhupada gave you the example of the light bulb, that when you have in a room a light bulb, it doesn't mean the electricity, where it's coming from, can only produce energy for one light bulb. Right? The atomic plant, or a plant, that mustn't be atomic. Very bad nowadays, atomic. We don't want this anymore. We take those solar panels and screw up our nature. Anyways, okay, some like it, some not. Or the big windmills. They are so beautiful. They're much more beautiful than trees. They are bigger than trees, maybe not more beautiful. Maybe you can paint them green or something, or put some leaves on it that they are riding in the wind. So anyway, some energy is coming, and this energy, the plant, can make a huge bulb, thousands of bulbs, but here only little light is required. So Krishna knows how much power is required, how much manifestation of his power is required for this certain mission. Because this is the second part of this verse. Indrari. Indra vyakulam lokam. Whenever the Ari of Indra, the enemy of Indra, or the enemies of the demigods, the bad guys, if they are too powerful, then Krishna appears. To yuge, time after time, to change that, to save the devotees. And one of the most famous verses, of course, of Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkitam. He comes to save the devotees and to annihilate the demons. And this brings us actually also to the story of the day, Krishna's appearance, 5,000 and some more years ago. exactly on this day it happened, that there was a similar situation, which is described in this verse, that the world was overpopulated, overpowered by demons, by asuras. Yeah. And we know that Mother Earth prayed then to the demigods for help and all that, but we cannot tell all the details of the story. So I made some notes in this regard, and I want to read first a verse to you for our meditation for this lecture. A very interesting verse which describes the power of Krishna Katha. The power of talks about Krishna. The power of when you just hear about Krishna. And he said, Ya idam anushrinoti shravayet va murarish charitam amrita kiyate vanitam vyasa putrai chagat agabit alam tat bhakta sat karnapuram bhagavati krita chitto yati tat kshema dhamma. And it said this pastime enacted by Lord Murari. Yeah, Murari again, the enemy of the Mura demon. Krishna is an enemy, right? And he's celebrated of being an enemy. It's very nice if you say normal enemies are not nice, but the enemies of the enemies are good. Yeah, right. So whose fame is eternal, yeah, totally destroys the sins of the universe. It said here the pastimes, they destroy the sins of the universe and serves as the transcendental ornament for his devotees' ears. The pastimes serve as transcendental ornaments for the ears. It's the most wonderful and beautiful we can hear. And anyone who carefully hears or narrates this pastime, right now, this is what we are doing, we hear and we narrate, as recounted by the venerable son of Vyas. Who is the son of Vyas? Who knows? Who is the son of Vyas? Yeah, Shukadev Goswami, who is the speaker of the Bhagavatam, will be able to fix his mind in meditation on the Supreme Lord. So when we hear, we can fix our mind in meditation on the Supreme Lord and attain to the all-auspicious kingdom of God. Very powerful. Just by hearing about Krishna, we can attain to the kingdom of God. Tat kshema dhamma, it said here. Kshema means the auspicious and dhamma means world or abode, the spiritual abode. We are now caught in the material abode, material world, place of suffering. And place of suffering. And we can go to the spiritual world just by hearing. What's the problem? Problem is we are in Kali Yuga and we are not very intelligent. Hearing is very difficult. This is the problem. Because our mind likes to hear many other things. Like it said in this, what's this verse? Anyway, I forgot. That the materialistic people who are absorbed in the material world, who are apashyatam atma tattvam kriheshu kriyamedinam, right, in this verse, they hear thousands of other things. They want to hear thousands of other things and neglect spiritual topics. Why? Apashyatam atma tattvam. Because they don't see, they don't understand atma tattvam, the knowledge and the truth about atma, about the spirit and about Krishna. And they are griheshu krihamedinam. Kriya medis, sense and joyous. Yeah. Okay. So I want to start with a little introduction to the topic in general. This is a very, very introductory. Let's say like this. So Shastra tells us in the beginning, Atato Brahma Jigyasa, which means now is time for asking questions about the truth, about Brahman. What is God? This is human life. Actually, said this is human life. When we don't ask questions, what is God? We are not humans, actually, according to Shastra. Because this is the reason why I have a big brain. And another one, Jivanam Tattva Jigyasa. Purpose of human life is to ask questions about the truth. Yeah. And then we might wonder, what is the truth? Is there any truth? Or is it completely nihilistic and materialistic world is also okay? Is there something? But many people, they wonder in face of the amazing universe, right? They wonder in the face of the amazing universe. How does everything work? Why is everything there and why is nothing there? And why does it work as it does? Prabhupada explains this in the first canto. In the beginning, it says that human beings, if they see the stars in the sky, they wonder, who is living there? What's going on? Where is this all coming from? What is all that? And nature and myself, we should wonder. If we are not wondering, if we are not asking questions, then there's something wrong. Shastra says. So, and in this regard, there are some theological views about nature, right? Theological means that teleological. Teleological means this nature is an indicator for something higher. This nature is an indicator for its cause. When we see the precision how everything works in the macrocosm and the microcosm. And nowadays through science we can see very clearly how things work. And this should make us think, oh, this cannot come by accident. Teleological argument means it cannot come by accident. There must be a higher cause and high intelligence behind it. How can that work so nicely? How can the planets turn so nicely? How can the laws of nature be so precise and so nicely? How can the workings in the microcosm, in the atoms, in my cells, work so perfectly? There must be a cause behind it. Or other thoughts in regard to nature make us wonder how it can come by accident. And these are more subtle laws, like the moral laws. How is it that most human beings have some sense for moral, right? And they extrapolate from this fact of moral reason and moral feeling that there must be a standard for moral, for good and bad. Where is the good and bad coming from? Is it just a social convention? Okay, you say this is good, I say this is good, so we abide by that. Or is there a higher reason for it? And from this there comes some thought, nay, there must be a being which is good, and according to his standard, good is understood and lived and felt. And then one argument for an Brahman, right? Because Atato Brahma Jigyasa asks question about Brahman, about God, which is closer to our philosophy, is based on the fact of consciousness, right? Consciousness is a very, peculiar thing. And nowadays one wants to prove that consciousness comes from matter. But we say, no, consciousness is not coming from matter. Consciousness is not matter. It's anti-material. It's spiritual. Yata prakashayati eka krishnam lokam imang ravi kshetram kshetri tata krishnam prakashayati bharata. It said in Bhagavad Gita that as the sun illuminates all the worlds, the conscious living being, the kshetragya, the knower of this body, illuminates this body. But how is the soul illuminating the body? With consciousness. So as the sun shines and has sunshine, the soul shines with consciousness, which pervades the body. And in Gopal Tapani Upanishad, there's a very nice quote which says, Tam ha devam atma vritti prakasham. And it says, if you understand yourself, you understand God. By understanding yourself, you understand God. Not in quantity, but in quality. Because God is the supreme conscious being. And when we reflect ourselves as conscious living entities and understand the spiritual nature of consciousness, we can understand the supreme consciousness to some degree. Yeah. And the last point, in the search of the Brahman on the more philosophical and scientific platform, would be the argument from the subjective experience. How can it be that millions and millions of people throughout the ages were convinced of a God? And what does an atheist say? They were all crazy. They were simply crazy. Because it's not just the belief, the faith, which doesn't necessarily mean that there is something what they believe in. Okay, that might be they have some faith. But so many speak about experience. when they pray, when they go to church or mosque, or when they read the scriptures, they speak. No, it's not just faith. It's something I'm experiencing. So what are they experiencing? Are they all deluded? Are they just, imagining so strongly that then I feel happy? Is it just that? A psychological trick? No, the subjective experience is a very strong argument for the existence of the experienced, let's say like that. And of course, in our tradition, we try for experience. And we experience. Are you all crazy? Are you all crazy? Day in, day out, say Hare Krishna. Because we very strongly believe. Of course, faith is important. But it's definitely more the experience which drives us. Which means that it is true. So, and then I come to the next point. Theology. First was more philosophy, actually. But theology means it's similar to philosophy. It's hard to draw the line. But philosophy would mean there is no base for your, conviction. You just understand by your thoughts and logic and argument and science. Yeah? Theology means there is a base for what you discuss, and it's actually the scripture, it's Shastra. Theology is like a philosophy based on a revelation, to understand the revelation, to use the mind and consciousness, intelligence to understand revelation. So when we go into our tradition, there are so many Vedic texts. So which text would be standard? In one sense, all are standard, but one is more standard than all because it unites all traditions. And this is, of course, the Bhagavad Gita. Everyone accepts Bhagavad Gita. Rarely any Vedic person, it doesn't matter of which tradition, may it be Advaita Vedanta or Shakta, some demigod worshipper, Vaishnavas of all different sorts, all accept Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is standard. Yeah. And in Bhagavad Gita, it comes out, what is Brahman? Para Brahman, actually. Parang Brahma, Parang Dhamma, Pavitram Paramang Pavam, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevang Ajang Vibhum. Krishna is the Supreme Brahman. Yeah. Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna says it himself. This verse I quoted was spoken by Arjuna. He says, oh, you are the Supreme. And Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matasa vam pravartate iti matva bhajante mang buddha bhava samanvita. As example. Yes, I'm supreme. Everything comes from me. Material, spiritual worlds, everything comes from me. Everything rests on me. He says it. He's not shy. Oh no, Arjuna. No. I will come to a place where actually he's shy about it. But there he was not shy. No. It's not true. Don't exaggerate so much. I'm just charity. Yeah? Charity. No, Krishna says it and shows it. Shows a universal form. And so many verses in Bhagavad Gita, I don't have to quote all more, which show Krishna's Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then we might wonder, okay, what is the message of Bhagavad Gita? There are so many verses, 700 verses. What is the message of Bhagavad Gita? And the message is Bhakti. Bhakti is the message. Bhakti mam avichanati yavanyaschasmit tattvataha tato mam tattvate gyatva vishade tadanantaram. It said, Krishna, there's also the word tattva. You can understand me in truth only through bhakti. No, not through gyan, not through karma. These are also messages of Bhagavad Gita. But what leads to tattva, to supreme truth? Krishna says, through bhakti you can understand me in truth as I am, and then you will come to me. You will come to my world. So what is bhakti? Yeah? Bhakti means devotion, devotional service. Means, and this involves a lover and a beloved. This involves personality. Bhakti is the proof for personality. It works only with personality. If everything is one, as Mayavadis say, how can bhakti be possible? Who is devoted to whom? Who in the Brahman is devoted to whom? Where is bhakti in Brahman? It's not possible. Bhakti is not a way to tattva. Bhakti is the essence of Tattva. So and there are two different kinds of bhakti, or two different modes. One is called Aishvarya, another is Madhurya. Aishvarya means bhakti of the devotee, of the bhakta, with the understanding of my object of worship is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Aishvarya means opulence. Ishvara means the ruler, the controller, the Supreme Lord. So it's when you worship Krishna, you are fully aware that you worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the highest, supreme, all-powerful, the one who is everywhere, who knows everything, the supreme truth. And you are in awe, and you are very also loving. Yeah, love is there. You're very devoted, and you're very happy. Oh, it's the Supreme Lord, and you can worship Him. This is Aishvarya. And this is wonderful. It's great. And there's another way, and this is a very tricky to understand, actually. And it's that this is our way, which we try to follow and to develop. But it's very, very tricky. And it's called Madhurya. Madhurya means actually like sweetness, right? Like sweetness. It's another word for translating Madhurya than sweetness. Someone knows? Maybe another synonym. But this is how we say, sweetness or, right? Madhu, sweet. And in this mode of worship, very interesting, the worshipper does not know that the object of worship, or Krishna, Supreme Person, is God. So and we might ask, what is that then? The materialist doesn't know that Krishna is God. The materialist doesn't believe in God. When you show him a picture of Krishna, this is God, he will not believe, will not accept. He doesn't know that this is God. But in Madhurya, we don't know that he's God, but we still worship him and we love him. It's something different than just ignorance of his divinity. It's different. But what is it then? It's you can even call it an illusion, because it's a Maya, it's a Yoga Maya. It's a certain illusion, but a spiritual illusion. There's Mahamaya, material illusion, as the materialist doesn't know that there's God, as a materialist thinks, I am the body and all that. He's an illusion. But then there's a spiritual illusion, which makes it possible to love Krishna, who is God, more intimate, closer, personal, than when you would be aware that he is God. Because if you're aware that he is God, you will always be in great awe, which is wonderful and great, but you never can come too close. Like with a powerful government officer who is respected very much, which should be. And he enjoys it. The government officer enjoys it, that people respect him, he can give orders, and there's a certain rasa, certain taste in these relationships. But I guess the government officer loves it way more if someone calls him, oh, you small little guy, when it comes from his wife or when it comes from his children, who says not very respectful things, but in a loving way. He will love it. Or when the child beats him or something in play, how can you be so respectless? I'm government officer. Don't you know? Bow down. No. This losing of respect is a sign of love, intimacy, and there's a rasa inside. And he will love it when his wife calls him ill names in some, fake anger or something. Right? But if the guy, the clerk, does it, he will lose his job. Maybe not. You are excused. Yeah. So and same is with Krishna actually. Krishna loves it when everyone understands he is the supreme and they worship him and they pray and all. It's great. But he loves it more if someone is so close to him that he can have very loose, private, intimate, loving relationships. And that's why it's called Madhurya. It's more sweet. But this cannot be done easily. Like the clerk, he can also not expect to be very close to the high government officer. He has to be very qualified, if ever it would be possible. He has to have a very loving, nice relationship. So, and this is the bhakti what we try to develop. This is the gift what we got through our tradition of great acharyas who had this kind of relationship and always showed the example of devotees in Shastra who had this relationship. And I will speak then about that. There were devotees in Vrindavan like Yashoda, Ananda, and the Gopas, and they had this kind of relationship. And our acharyas say, you can have this relationship also. You can have Aishwarya, relationship to Krishna, or this Madhurya. Depends what is your aspiration. So this Madhurya, there are two words I want to introduce now, Rasa and Lila, which are very important to understand. So first, Rasa. There's a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. Evang lila nara vapur nri lokam anushilayan reme gogopa gopinam ramayan rupa vakritai. Thus, the Supreme Lord, appearing like a human being to perform his pastimes, imitated the ways of human society. He enjoyed pleasing his cows, cowherd boyfriends, and cowherd girlfriends with his beauty, words, and actions. It's a very important verse because this explains this principle of lila. And it said here, he imitated the ways of the humans. Krishna appears in human society and plays as if he would be one of us. But he's always the Supreme Lord. The big difference is that we are always under the laws of material nature. We're always depending. Krishna, who is the Supreme, and everything depends on him, is never losing this quality, even if he appears in his own creation. There's another nice verse from the 10th canto, I think it was Bahulashva or Shrutadev, one of those, who said to Krishna himself, you are like, you dream your worlds and then you enter into your dream. It's very interesting. And this is what Krishna does, because the Mahavishnu is in Yoga Nidra. There's a Mahavishnu, huge Vishnu, Karana Kashai Vishnu, Karana Kashai Vishnu. And he is sleeping, Yoga Nidra. And he actually dreams the material world. And at times, he enters this material world. Or when you are a computer, you can program computer games. And you program a whole world. And then, as a small avatar, you can enter into this world and move around. Similarly, Krishna does something similar, but he does something way more crazy. This would be if you program your computer world and then you yourself can enter into it. We can only project ourselves like this small avatar. But Krishna can really enter it without being caught in this world. We are caught in this world. We are prisoners. But Krishna is like the king who goes into the prison. He can freely move wherever he likes. So this is Leela. So he imitates these ways. This is Leela. And Leela means pastime. It's like an actor on stage. He's playing, right? And Krishna and Leela means also like children. When children play, they can imagine any world. And your bed transforms into a boat, and everything outside the boat is the sea, and you imagine big whales and adventures, this and that. And you imagine dangers to make your play more exciting. But if it's getting too dangerous, you stop it. You will never experience any harm. So Krishna, he imagines his whole adventure as he likes it. He can create any world, any adventure, and then he enters it, and then he acts it out. This is Leela. It's his play. And then comes interesting aspect to this whole thing. Because it said the devotee is in Maya. He thinks, I am Krishna's friend. I am Krishna's mother. All that. And Krishna wants that the devotee can go into this loving relationship. But what about Krishna? Is he always transcendental and aloof to this relationship and just pretends? It's actually said, no, it's not. Krishna himself enters into the relationship and identifies with this relationship. Meaning, if you are like Mother Yashoda, Devaki, Nanda Maharaj, and you see Krishna is my son, he is my child. This is your loving relationship to Krishna. Krishna reciprocates and identifies with that. He also says, I am your son, I am your child. Oh, Mother Yashoda, my mother is running behind me with a stick because I destroyed the butter pots. I have to really quickly run away. It's very dangerous. It's never that he thinks, stick? Mom, what do you want to do with a stick? I control the whole universe. Come on, try. No, he reciprocates and identifies also. And then he sheds tears and cries. And it's not that now I have to cry to make this adventure a little bit more fun for her. No, he really is afraid. He's really afraid. And so, one of our acharyas explains in a book, it's called Raga Vartma Chandrika. It's a small book. That Krishna has two moods also in this lila. One is called Sarvagya, and the other is called Mukta. Sarvagya means all-knowing, because he's God. He knows everything. He says in Bhagavad Gita, I know past, present, future, I know all living entities, but me no one knows. But he has another aspect for the lila, it's called Mukta, which means he doesn't know. Oh, I'm not God, I'm supreme, I'm all powerful. No, I'm the son of my mother and I have to run away. And it said he has both of them, which are contradictory and exclusive, both of them at the same time. This only he can have. So he's never losing his transcendental position, but at the same time he can experience lila and also the emotions of the lila, which are spiritual and give some flavor to his existence. So these are very important points to understand actually lila. We cannot read and hear now the sweet pastimes of Vrindavan or Dwarka or whatever. We cannot if we don't understand these principles. And many people want to just hear lila, hear pastime, get entertained. But this is useless if not understood what is the spiritual nature of lila. And it's just emotional, sentimental. So our rasa, experience of rasa is based on tattva. We need this tattva. Rasa is higher than tattva, yes. It is where it should go, but we need tattva. We need understanding. What is all that? And our acharyas, they explain this in great detail so that we can scientifically, spiritually hear lila and have the effect which was spoken in the beginning, that we go to the spiritual world through the lila, through hearing lila. But if this is not there, it's just like any other story, like any Bollywood story or Hollywood story or whatever wood story. Yeah, it's just like, oh, nice fairy tale. And it has some emotional effects, some moral. You will learn something, but no transcendental effect is there. So that's the reason why I go into this detail now to say all that thing. Okay, so now I will focus on a pastime, as we heard now these points, which is interesting. Which brings also this Aishwarya and Madhurya together. Yeah? And see how Krishna deals with it. So we know Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago. His pastime is documented in Bhagavatam, but not only in Bhagavatam, also in Mahabharata. Many pastimes are in Mahabharata. Then we have other Puranas like Vishnu Purana, Padma Purana, which give also details to Krishna Lila pastime. We have what's it called? Garga Samhita, and we have Harivamsa Purana. So many texts, but Bhagavatam is the main text. Yeah, and we know Krishna appeared today. Where did he appear? At which place? Oh. Mathura. Yeah, in Mathura. This is where he appeared. Janmastami, right? There's still a place where he appeared. And it was a very dangerous situation because Kamsa, who was the bad king, actually Kamsa was very, very powerful. No. Yeah, no problem. Best is if you keep questions for the end. In the end, you can ask all questions. But thank you now. The king, there were different kings, right? Different kshatriyas. But the one who ruled at that time was Kamsa. The official king was actually Ugrasena. His name was Ugrasena. But Kamsa, he put him in prison because he wanted to rule. And he did that. He was very, very powerful. And then, of course, there was a prophecy on the day of the marriage. Vasudev married Devaki. And Devaki was she was not technically the sister, but he said sister. She was like a cousin for Kamsa. Yeah, so for Kamsa. And Kamsa, because traditionally it said a brother or a person like a brother should drive the chariot of the bride together with the bridegroom to the house of the husband. So he was doing it. Kamsa was riding the chariot, and it was a wonderful occasion, and it was a very opulent marriage, huge Indian marriage, extremely opulent. And they were driving this opulent chariot, and she was most beautifully dressed, and he was opulent dressed, and there was music and drums and everything, biggest opulence. Eh? And so he was driving, and suddenly there came a voice from the sky, out of nowhere, which said, Kamsa, you fool, don't you know that the 8th child of your sister will bring your death? Like a prophecy. And Kamsa was shocked, and now it shows his demonic nature, because he immediately, like spontaneously, took his sword, wanted to kill his sister. Because, she will be my death, so I have to, stop that she has children, so I kill her. And he immediately wanted to kill her. So the wonderful situation, this is how life is sometimes. The most beautiful moments can turn into the worst. It became very dramatic. But Vasudev was very intelligent, and he preached to him, explained to him many things, the whole philosophical episode there in the Bhagavatam. But all that didn't work. Vasudev tried it with moral. You cannot kill your sister. The history will always talk about Kamsa, the greatest rascal, killed his sister. You want to be defamed like that? Didn't work. He explained about spiritual. Death is inevitable. Everyone will die, but there is a life after death from the spiritual. Don't worry so much about it. Didn't work. And the only thing what worked is that, okay, please leave her, and I will bring you every child which is born by us, by her, and you can do whatever you like with the child. So you don't have to kill her, and you can be protected. And it's the only thing what worked. And Kamsa let her go, and this is then also what happened. They got children, and every time he brought the child to Kamsa. And the first child actually was brought by Vasudev, and Kamsa was actually very pleased that, Vasudev is such an honorable person. He really brings me his child. And he said, I'm so pleased by you. It's only the 8th child which will bring my death. Go home. It's okay. Sometimes Kamsa had these moments of good moments, huh? But they were very quickly turned again. And now comes a very also strange person in, or a person who is like the director. Like when Krishna plays here as the actor, now comes like a director, kind of. But he enters like Quentin Tarantino, something also plays in his own movies. Hare Krishna, sorry for this. So comes in Narada Muni, right? Narada Muni comes in and goes to Kamsa and says, Kamsa, how are you doing? He says, yes, fine, everything great, I rule the kingdom. And says, what about, this rumor which goes around about some child which will be born by your sister, will kill you? He says, no problem, it will be the 8th child, the first, I let them live. And then Narada Muni says, Kamsa, this is not very intelligent. A king, now Machiavelli style, a king has to root out any problem take out a problem at its roots. You cannot be so lenient. You never know. It's like a little fire can turn into a huge fire, burn down everything. You should kill every child. You never know which is the 8th. Depends how you count. You can't count from this side, that side. Any can be the 8th. And you're dealing here with the demigods who are your enemies. They betray you, so don't be so lenient. And Kamsa became really, really angry and said, yeah, you're right. Thank you, Narada Muni. and he called for Vasudeva. He took the child, killed the child. And then after this, they got more children. He killed every child. He put them into prison. Vasudeva and Devaki were in prison. And this is why Krishna was born then in this prison, as the 8th child. He was born in prison. But when Krishna appeared, he appeared first as Vishnu with 4 arms. But still, Devaki had such loving feelings towards Vishnu that she was afraid, even though she knew it's Vishnu, what can Kamsa do to Vishnu? But she said, please, somehow or other, hide yourself. I'm afraid for you. So then Vishnu transformed himself into a baby child. And Vasudeva was taking the child and brought it to Vrindavan, to safety. And there at the same time, Yashoda, who was also a friend actually of Devaki and of the family, she also got a child, but it was a girl. And Vasudeva exchanged the children. He put his son there in Yashoda's arm. And to her, she was exhausted from the child labor. She didn't know what was happening. She was sleeping. And he took the girl and went back with the girl to the prison. And put himself back into shackles, because it said Krishna's Yoga Maya opened the door, the shackles were opened, they crossed Yamuna and all that. So he brought this child back, and everything was as before, just that there was a baby child, a baby girl. The guards were also falling asleep, right? And then the child started crying. And the guards woke up. The 8th child is born. And they ran to Kamsa. He was asleep. And they woke him. Oh, our Lord, the 8th child is there. And he woke up and he was actually terrified. He was in fear. He was in panic. And he was disheveled. Everything was, but he just took the basic cloth and he ran there. And he ran there and wanted to kill the child. And he saw, it's a girl? He was shocked. But he said, but anyway. And Devaki was pleading, please don't kill the child. It was really a terrible situation, lamentable. And he didn't care. He took the child and wanted to smash it directly on the ground. Newborn child. Wanted to smash it on the ground, kill it. But the child slipped out of his hands and suddenly rose into the sky and transformed herself into Durga. Powerful Durga, the personified material energy, flying in sky with all her weapons, with the sword and bow and trident and shield, and with a thundering, powerful voice spoke to him, Kamsa, you fool, what do you think, you can kill me? Actually, the child which is destined to kill you is already born in some other place. And Kamsa was just standing. He was completely in Aishwarya. He was like, oh my God, it's Durga herself, the goddess. And he was shocked. And then she disappeared. And then he had a change of heart. And he excused, oh Vasudeva and Devaki, I'm so sorry I killed all your children. I didn't know that you're so powerful that Durga is your child. I'm so sorry. How could I do that? And he said Devaki and Vasudeva, because they're saints, they excused that, okay, no problem. It's fate that we had to lose the children. It's fate and it's all good. They excused him. She gave up all anger and hatred and feeling of revenge toward Kamsa. She didn't care anymore. This is a devotee. Devotee can forgive anything what happened to you. Normally it's very difficult. Especially if someone kills your children. How can you forgive him? Impossible. But she did. And Kamsa went back. And this scene ended. So now I make a big shift. Many years later. Because then Krishna grew up, of course, in Vrindavan, was the child of Yashoda, Ananda, was the cowherd boy, all his pastimes, his gopis, gopas, all that. Then he had to leave Vrindavan because the Kamsa was still ruling, And this was his mission, Indrari Vyakulam, and he was the biggest enemy actually of the demons, of the demigods, Kamsa. Because it said, Kamsa, he said, actually his ministers, to instigate more anger towards him, to destroy Brahminical culture and all that. He said, what can the demigods do anyway? Because he was still in awe, oh Durga. And he said, what can the demigods do? You are Kamsa, you are most powerful. You know, Vishnu, where is he? He's hiding in the hearts of all the living beings because of fear of you. He's never showing up. Brahma is always meditating, someone meditating because he doesn't want to see you. Shiva is somewhere in the forest hiding. And Indra is complete, he's a complete weakling. We don't even have to talk about him. You are so powerful. You are Kamsa. You can fight all the the demigods. So, please can this not be? Thank you. And so Kamsa was still ruling, and Kamsa was mistreating all the Yadavas, all actually the family members of Krishna. Krishna had a good time in Vrindavan, everything wonderful, drinking milk directly from the cows, playing with his friends, having Radharani as girlfriend, having a good time. But he knew, actually, I have to help my devotees. And he had to leave Vrindavan, which was, of course, dramatic. Everyone was sad, but he had to fulfill this mission. He went to Mathura, personally killed Kamsa, even though he was just 10 years old. And Kamsa, as I said, he was powerful. Many powerful demons were under his rule. So Krishna killed Kamsa. Krishna became, so to say, the ruler of Mathura. He put Ugrasena back into place. Then later on, had a new city of Dwaraka, and many, many stories. So many years later, there was a sun eclipse. I think it was a sun eclipse. And it said such eclipses are very inauspicious. And what are you doing when there's inauspicious eclipse? You take shelter at a holy place. So this was such an eclipse which was influential for whole North India, so to say, because all the clans and all the big families and kshatriyas came to one holy place to take shelter during the sun eclipse. And they went to Kurukshetra, where Bhagavad Gita was actually later spoken and the battle was fought. So all were there. The Yadavas from Dwarka, the Kurus from Hastinapur, right? The Pandavas, Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana. So it was before Kurukshetra because they were still alive. And also the Brijbasis from Vrindavan, Nanda, Yashoda, the cowherd boys, the gopis, everyone came. And he said this is the first time that the inhabitants of Vrindavan, who loved Krishna like no one else, saw Krishna after many, many, many years. The most beloved Krishna, their one and all, their life and soul. First time they see him after he left. So it was very intense, a very emotional moment. Finally they see him again. Everyone was so happy. But at the same time they were also so sad. Because they knew he will not come back with us. What's the use of now seeing him? And he said the gopis were the most lamentable. They lamented most because they saw Krishna as they have never seen him before, because before he was their cowherd boy friend with the turban and with his rope for catching the cows and all that. But now he was a powerful kshatriya. Was standing there with soldiers surrounding him, with a crown, with a sword. This is not how they like Krishna. This is not, they want Krishna as their cowherd friend, not with a weapon. What does Krishna do with a weapon in Ras Leela? What's all that? So they saw him, they were happy, but at the same time also didn't like it too much. And there we have the whole mood of the Ratha Yatra, Jagannath Puri, pulling the chariot from Dwaraka, right? From the big temple to the Gundicha, to Vrindavan. And the devotees, like gopis, want to pull Krishna back to Vrindavan. So it was a very intense moment. And I heard, I really would like to find the written proof for that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of our greatest acharyas, said the place and this episode and situation of the highest rasa, sometimes you might think, oh, it's Vrindavan. No, it's Radhakund. No, it's maybe Mayapur or Jagatpuri. He says, no, it's Kurukshetra. He says Kurukshetra because there the feeling of vipralamba, of separation, is the highest. Because Krishna is right in front of them. Actually, it's Sambhoga. It means union. But they cannot have him like that. They want to have him back in Vrindavan, and there it's most intense. They have the object of their love, of whom they always dream, right in front of them, but they cannot have him. And so vipralamba, feeling of separation, is the highest. And I said this feeling of separation is the highest spiritual emotion you can experience. In the spiritual world, there are these two modes also, again, in the Madhurya. Sambhoga means you're together with Krishna, as his friend, your friend, or this and that. And the vipralamba means separation. When you're together with Krishna, you're so happy, oh, my friend, and this and that, and you can talk with him, play with him, dance with him, chat with him, joke with him. He is the perfect person. You're so happy. And vipralamba means you're separated. And when you're separated, actually attachment and love increases. Some of us sometimes experience this. When our beloved is not there, we love them more. Right? So with Krishna, it's the same dynamic is there. So they were right in front of Krishna, but they couldn't have him. So the vipralamba was most intense. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says this is the highest situation. Interesting. So besides this union or reunion, then later came in this situation, also Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda were there, so the Prajpasis were there. But then some sages came. And it's very interesting, the sages who were in the Vedic society at that time, they're highest. They were higher than kings and higher than anyone else. And he said there was Vyasadev and Atri and Dvaipayana. Vyasadev was there, then Narada Muni, and like the creme de la creme of rishis. All the Vedic most powerful rishis came in a group. And there was, the rishis are also here now at Kurukshetra. And the kings felt very humble. And then they came in a situation, but the rishis, they knew who is actually the supreme, it's Krishna. Even though he's playing now as a kshatriya, he's also respected. And Krishna actually greeted the sages when they came and said, oh, you sages are great and powerful, and thank you that you grace us and that you're here. And when the sages heard that, they answered and said, this is very, very astonishing. Actually, we are sages, we know everything, but now we are bewildered by these words spoken by Krishna. Because they knew he's the supreme Brahman, God himself, but he humbles himself, is our servant, and is so respectful, plays like a human being, and they say, he does it so well. We cannot see that he is God. Yes. And they were bewildered, actually, said they were bewildered. And then they said this verse here, I want to read this verse. Your power of illusion has totally bewildered us, the most exalted knowers of the truth. Now we are the most exalted knowers of the truth, but we are bewildered. This is what Krishna does. Also Brahma, in the Brahma Vimohana Lila, the most intelligent of all, Brahma himself, was bewildered. So this is one of Krishna's powers, the power of bewilderment. And Maya, right? We are all bewildered by him. And lead us among the universal creators. Ah, how amazing is the behavior of the Supreme Lord. He covers himself with his human-like activities and pretends to be subject to superior control. That's a very nice verse. So, and then they speak all that, and then they want to leave, they give blessings to everyone, and then Vasudev, he is a pious king, understands, this chance is a chance of my life. The greatest sages, rishis of the universe are here. I have to ask him a question. The greatest knowers of the truth. And they are about to leave, and he stops them and says, oh, my dear sages, I have a question. How can I become free from karma? That was the question. How can I become free from karma? Very important question. Actually says, how can I become free from karma through karma? Is it possible? Can I become free from karma? But not just through our karma, but through karma itself. How can I act myself, so to say, out of karma? Is this possible? So, philosophical question. And then, one of the rishis, Narada Muni, answers it first. And he says, it is not so amazing that in his eagerness to know, Vasudeva has asked us about his ultimate benefit, for he considers Krishna a mere boy. Because he says, like, why is he asking us? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is living with Vasudeva together. Why is he asking us? And he says, actually, it's not amazing that he's not asking Krishna, because he thinks Krishna is a boy, and he's his boy. He would not, oh, my dear son, how can I be given free from karma? Please tell me. No, because he thinks it's his boy. And then he says, in this world, familiarity breeds contempt. One of our statements. If you're too familiar, you don't take so serious. For example, one who lives on the banks of the Ganges might travel to some other body of water to be purified. So after Narada spoke this, because you could think, why is not asking Krishna? And then the sages answer, and they give a nice answer. You have to do yagyas, and yagyas are very powerful. Vasudeva does a huge yagya. It's very successful. It's described in detail. And then, more or less, the whole meeting, Kurukshetra, is over. After the successful yagya, everyone goes back to his place of residence. And back in Dwarka, Vasudeva remembers that actually Krishna, whom I consider my boy, which is Madhurya, actually is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And somehow it dawns on him. And he goes to Krishna, and he speaks like 10 to 15 long verses, describing how Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, that you are the source of everything, and you're the air, and you're water, and you're the universe, and you are the Supreme Lord, and to hell with sense gratification, free me of that, I want to be now in knowledge. Because it dawns on him, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He kind of falls out from Madhurya into Aishwarya. And this is actually said, this is happening in Dwarka. In Dwarka, the devotees are in that sense mixed. In Vrindavan, as we spoke before, devotees are complete Madhurya Bhaktas. They always see Krishna is my son. And even when Krishna shows the universal form in his mouth, Mother Yashoda thinks, oh, maybe I haven't slept enough or something, what's going on? Yeah, this cannot be. And then Krishna, they never go out of Madhurya. But in Dwarka, they are sometimes here, sometimes there. They have some Aishwarya Gyan, some knowledge about Krishna's supremacy. So Vasudeva has this realization, this intense realization, you're the Supreme Lord. So what does Krishna do now with it? As I said before, he's not shy with Arjuna. Yes, I'm Supreme. But now he was shy. Interesting. And he said actually to Vasudeva, I haven't the verse now here, but I paraphrase the next verses. He says, actually, what you said is true. I am the sun, the moon, the universe, all that. But the same can be seen in regards to you and all the other Yadavas. Very interesting. What does he say? Yes, we are all parts of the Paramatma. We are all parts of the Paramatma, who appears to be many, who is actually one. Everything is one because we are all one of Paramatma's energies, and he appears to be many. And now you think, why is he saying that? And the acharyas say, because he didn't want to confirm the Aishwarya mood of Vasudeva. He wanted to say, you are right, there is some God and we are all parts of, but it's actually not so much me, it's Paramatma. And of course we know in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I am Paramatma. But he said, actually the God is Paramatma and, I'm your son. And then, as said, Vasudeva was, it said, Shrutva vinashta nanati. It was, after hearing that, his understanding of separatedness of everything was destroyed. He understood how everything is one, and Dushnim Prita Mana Abud. He was very pleased in heart. He was very satisfied. You know, aha, okay, this is how God works, and you're my son. Everything's fine. And it was happy. So you think Krishna is very tricky. Krishna is very, because actually it's true. Paramatma is God. Paramatma is the personality of Godhead. Not supreme personality of Godhead. But personality of Godhead he is. And you can say, yes, Paramatma is God. Doesn't have to say, okay, and I am above Paramatma. And this detail we can, overlook to keep our nice relationship. And then in this chapter something nice happens. And then Devaki comes. Because Devaki now, she also remembers, okay, Krishna can do wonderful, miraculous things. And now what does Devaki want? Because she has one desire. She has one desire since a long time. And somehow or other she never asked, but now she asks. As we heard before, Kamsa was killing all her children. Actually, he was killing 6 children of her. Because the 7th child was Balaram, who was another story how that happened. 8 was then Krishna. But the first 6 were killed. And she always missed them. She had still some, in this desire. And in this situation, she went to Krishna and said, oh, my dear Krishna, you're so powerful. I heard that you saved the dead son of your teacher. Because when Krishna was in Gurukul, he gave a dakshina to his guru. Because the guru saw, I never had a disciple like that. Because he was a very powerful guru. Sandipani Muni was his name. And it said there are 64 arts, Vedic arts. 64. And Krishna learned and mastered each of the 64 arts on a day. Every day another art. It's like if you study today biology and make your PhD in biology, tomorrow in physics, tomorrow in law, tomorrow in this science and that science. That would be quite amazing. Krishna did like that. So the Sanibani Muni was, wow, he's amazing. He's most amazing. He was so astonished. And then after education, there must be a dakshina to the guru. This has to be. Sanibani Muni knew, you are very, very, very powerful. And I desire that you bring back my son who died some time ago. And Krishna said, no problem. Brought back the son. And who was the son? Who knows? Who is the son? What's his name? Nine. Ananda. Who is the son of Sandipani Muni? His name is Madhu Mangal. Charas explains Madhu Mangal. Because when you go to Rupa Goswami's writings, then this is also mentioned. Madhu Mangal is the grandmother of Madhu Mangal is Purnamasi. Purnamasi is the mother of Sandipani Muni. It's very interesting. So Devaki heard that and she said, my dear Krishna, I have one desire. Please bring back my sons who comes are killed. And said then Krishna used his spiritual power and immediately went to Sutala Loka. Sutala Loka is one of the lower regions in the universe. We have Bhumandala in the middle, it's Earth's world. Then you have 6 worlds above. You have the Svarga Loka and Channa Loka and Tapa Loka, Mahaloka and all that. Bhuva, Sva, Channa Loka, Mahaloka, Tapa Loka and Brahma Loka, Satya Loka. So the higher worlds of the Devas and Rishis. And there are 7 lower worlds, neither regions of the universe where the demons live and the Nagas live. The snakes live there. And there's one is called Sutala. Why did he go there? But some or other, I don't know, maybe some of you know why, where the Shatgarbhas, the 6 sons, there. I don't know, but he went there. And who was the ruler of Sutala at that time? It was Bali Maharaj. And I will not go into the whole, this is another, but Bali Maharaj was the ruler of Sutala at that time. And when he saw, Krishna is here, he immediately offered obeisances. He understood, this is Vamanadev, this is Vishnu, right? He understood immediately. And he prayed to him, and he set him on the throne. He washed his lotus feet. He sprinkled the water on all the associates of there in Sutala Loka. And then he said, oh, my dear Lord, what can I do for you? Why have you come? What honor. Suddenly Krishna appeared in his world. Yeah. Long, very long time ago, in the age of the first Manu, Swayambhuva Manu, now we are in the 7th Manvantara of Vaivasvatama. So Swayambhuva, that was long ago. There was one sage, one Manasaputra, one son born of the mind of Brahma, Marichi. And he had 6 children with his wife, Urna. And these children, they were laughing when Brahma, even though this is very weird, Brahma created also out of his mind a child, a girl actually. Vak was her name. And he was attracted to this girl, which was actually his daughter. And he wanted to have some romance with her. And these 6 sons of Marichi, they were laughing. So look at Brahma, what's he doing? What is grandpa doing? Weird. And for this, they got reactions, because you should never laugh at the superior, even though he does something terrible. You might bring criticism in a very humble way, speak with authority, whatever. It doesn't mean we have to be silent, but you should not laugh. This is a great offense. Actually, it's an offense for everyone to laugh about someone in that sense, especially to a superior. So they got a reaction, and they had to be born as sons of a demon. And we were born as sons of Hiranyakashipu. Oh, that was. And then they worship Brahma because they knew, we are actually the Shatgarbhas, and we did this offense. And they worshiped Brahma, and Hiranyakashipu got angry and said, whom are you worshipping, you rascals? You should worship me. I curse you that you die through the hands of your father. Then they got another life as the sons of Kalanemi. And you wonder, who is Kalanemi? Kalanemi is one of the arch enemies of Indra and Vishnu. There was a big battle between demigods and demons long time ago. They were fighting, terrible fighting. And the demons created huge illusions, and the demigods, they couldn't see anything. They were in the disadvantage. And what is it? And actually it said, the demigods were an advantage over the demons. And what were the demons doing? They created these illusions. They were playing unfair, so to say. So the demigods couldn't see. Then the demigods were in disadvantage. What were they doing? They were not playing unfair. They prayed to Vishnu. Yeah? A devotee surrenders. Suddenly Vishnu appeared on Garuda with his weapons, very powerful, fought for the demigods. And there was one demon riding on a tiger. His name was Kalanemi, very powerful demon. And then powerful spear. And was throwing the spear at Vishnu. And Garuda, I think it was Garuda, right? He was catching the spear and threw it back. Either Garuda or Vishnu himself threw it back and killed this Kalanemi, who was dying in hate of Vishnu. I hate you! Right? Exactly opposite of how we should die. Right? We should die with the same intensity of emotion, but different emotion of love. I love you, Krishna, I come. So he was like this. He was so in anger of Vishnu. And he came back as Kamsa. He came back as Kamsa. And because Hiranyakashipu cursed the Shatgarbhas, you will be killed through the hands of your father. But this was not the father of that life, because Kamsa was not the father, of course, of the children, but from the last life. So Kamsa was killing them. So this is what Krishna told Bali. He said, this is why I have come. I want these 6 children, some or other, they are here. Give them to me, I bring them back to my mother. And he said, oh, no problem, there they are. So they went back. And when Devaki saw the children, she immediately recognized them, and she was so happy. My children are back. She cried, and she hugged them, and she was so happy. And it said she breastfed them, because this is what a mother wants. Somehow or other it said a mother wants nothing, she enjoys nothing more than breastfeeding her child, having all her motherly love, and seeing the child being happy, drinking her milk. And she breastfed them. And after this, and it said, through this they became liberated. Why? Because the Shatgarbhas drank the milk which was drunk by Krishna before. the Mahaprasad. And you might wonder, when was Krishna drinking the breast milk of Devaki? When Devaki got Krishna as the child, when Krishna transformed in the prison, and Vasudeva wanted to bring him to Vrindavan, he has to drink at least a little bit to have some strength for this terrible journey in the night, and it was raining, and she quickly breastfed him. This is when her milk was transformed into prasad. And then the Shatgarbhas drank this milk, excused themselves, and went back to the heavenly planets. And their curse was over. And, most important, Devaki's desire was fulfilled. And even more important, we can see how Krishna takes care of all our desires. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kamo darati divrena bhakti yogena yacheta purusham param. Whatever desire you have, surrender to Krishna, serve Krishna, chant his name. Don't worry. He will either fulfill your desire or even better, take away your desire. Don't worry, but surrender to Krishna. This is the instruction of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is now the end of that, what I wanted to tell you. It was said I should speak until 9:30. I'm exactly on time. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much that I could tell you these points. I wish us today that we can absorb ourselves more into Krishna Katha, read Bhagavatam, read Krishna book. This is the day to think about Krishna, hear about Krishna, worship Krishna especially. Of course, we do it every day, but it should be more intense today. And I wish you all a wonderful Krishna Janmastami. Srila Prabhupada ki. Nitai Gaur Premanande. If there are any questions, but if not, no problem, we can close. Yes?
Hare Krishna, very wonderful class, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I have a question. You were telling that bhakti is not a way for tattva, but it is essence of tattva. I heard from you.
Yeah, I have actually I forgot one point. I wanted to mention this, that Leela is kind of a manifestation of rasa. The whole Leela is therefore rasa to manifest. Yeah, okay.
So what it means that bhakti is not a way to tattva, but it is essence, because bhakti leads to understanding of tattva also, right?
Of course, but I mean that in that what I told now in regard to Aishwarya and Madhurya, the rasa is higher in Madhurya. Rasa means taste. The taste, experience is higher. But some aspect of tattva has to be negated through this, that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is actually disturbing the rasa. And tattva will lead to rasa. Of course, we need tattva, we need understanding of all that, but in one point, rasa is more important. But it doesn't mean that tattva goes away. It's still the base, right? So that's what I meant.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
But maybe Maharaj, you want to add something in this point?
Tattva does not always disturb the rasa. You have the Dasya ras, which is prominent in Vaikuntha, and they have full knowledge of Krishna. They are in Asvarya, and of course in Goloka Vrindavan we have a different situation. And but an additional point I could make, because I'm presenting this Bhaktivedanta course, and we went deep in the chapters from the Vrindavan Lila, Mathur, and Dvarka Lila, and so on. That Lord Chaitanya, he gave us this Vipralamba, this service in separation, and like you said, it is a more intense love of Krishna. But the nature of these feelings in separation, one can understand, especially when one studies chapter 47 of the 10th canto, Uddhav visits Vrindavan. And there we see there is a difference. There are different lilas of Krishna. There's the Aprakat Lila and the Prakat Lila. Two different lilas. The Aprakat Lila is an unmanifested lila, and the Prakat Lila is the manifested lila. And in this manifested lila, like when Krishna goes to Vrindavan, the residents of Vrindavan, they feel separation. But like for the cowherd boys, these feelings of separation, these intense feelings of separation, they give entrance to the Aprakat Lila. And that's very interesting. That these intense feelings. So, what is the difference between Aprakat and Prakat Lila? The Aprakat Lila. In the Aprakat Lila, that's the Lila we find in Goloka Vrindavan. Krishna, Akrura comes, takes Krishna to Vrindavan, from Vrindavan to Mathura, but then he kills Kamsa and he comes immediately back. So he never leaves Vrindavan, Krishna. That's interesting. You spoke about Ete Shamskala Pumsa. Krishna is the original personality of Godhead from which all other avatars come. So Krishna has 64 qualities are described in Nectar of Devotion. And like Lord Vishnu has 60 qualities. There are 4 qualities unique for Krishna. And they are his beautiful pastimes, with his devotees. That he plays the flute. Then you have this Madhurya Ras, which is, and then there is his unparalleled beauty. But when he goes to from Vrindavan to Mathura, in Mathura, one quality is missing. What does Krishna not do in Mathura, which he does in Vrindavan? He doesn't play the flute. That's one quality less. So from Krishna all the expansions comes, but the original Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. The complete Krishna does not leave Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, in Goloka Vrindavan, he has his Aprakat Lila, which is not manifested, which was not manifested 5,000 years ago. But when Krishna leaves, the feelings of separation are so intense that they meditate on Krishna so deeply that they enter this Aprakat Lila. And they have union with Krishna in that Aprakat Lila. So these are subtle details but interesting. Mother Yasoda, Nanda Maharaj, and the gopis, they don't enter the Aprakat Lila. They stay in the Prakat Lila. And their feelings of intense feelings are so deep that it's unparalleled their love for Krishna. So there are so many details that, but to get a deeper understanding of that, one can study the consciousness of the Vrajavasis. That's one of the reasons why Krishna appears. Not just he appears, also he brings his holy Dham and all his associates with him. And in these eternal associates are in Vrindavan. there is a lot to say about these things. I tell one more thing, because you spoke about, Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj. They say Krishna is their son. Because Krishna want his rasa, want his relationship, and they are feeling this separation when Krishna went to Mathura so deeply, and then Uddhav comes, and he thinks they are suffering so much of separation. I will bring their prema down. So he's preaching to them. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's a super soul in everyone's heart. You can never be separated from him. And Krishna said that also to the gopis, also to the Jagyapatnis, the wives of the Brahmins, and that I'm everywhere, so how can you be separated from me? And then Nanda Maharaj replied, that he says to Uddhav, I forgive you. You are much younger than me. But what you are speaking is stupid. That don't you know my Krishna? How can Krishna be Narayan? He's stealing, and he's stealing. He's an expert liar. And if I tell him to bring my shoes, he brings my shoes. How can he be Narayan? So all this, he tried to bring down their prema, but it had no effect. No effect. But for Devaki and Vasudev, the situation was different there. After Krishna had killed Kamsa, and they heard about it, and when Krishna came before him, they came in awe and reverence. And their prema came down. And Krishna did not like it. He ordered this Yoga Maya to cover them, and they started to see him again as their son, and Balaram and so on. So that's the difference a bit between Devaki and Devaki and Vasudev. And Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yasoda, Nanda Maharaj. But the love of Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj could not brought down that it was overwhelming there. Krishna is my son. And that's their staibhav. That's their relationship with Krishna. And nothing can interfere with that. And these are the eternal residents of Vrindavan. And that's only the parental love, then the conjugal love. That's something else. Anyway, something I could add. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Okay, good. Thank you so much. Maharaj will speak in the afternoon also, or in the evening. We'll be looking forward for your katha. And thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.